Hello, everybody. Welcome to the second episode of Kamen Kast. I am one of your hosts. My name is Peas for Lunch, and I am joined by my lovely wife,
Daisy64.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, guys.
Real quick, I just want to shoot this out there. We did our first episode when we watched the first episode of Zi-O, and it's gotten a lot of views. Thanks to everyone who listened.
Yay,
You're all awesome. Thanks for everyone who liked and who disliked because you took the time. So yeah, just thanks everybody for that. That's awesome. And we're going to talk about Zi-O episode 2.
Episode 2.
Episode 2 today. Okay, so we're back from episode 1. We're kind of established a little bit more. And so every Kamen Rider, for those who don't know, has a recap section of the show. It's always the start, and they kind of tell you what happened last time. It's a lot like last time on Dragon Ball Z, but it's Kamen Rider. They found an interesting way to do it here. They're using woes, or wars, however you want to say it.
We're just going to call him Woes.
Woes. The guy with the book.
Because he's cute, so I'm going to say Woes.
Woes.
Okay.
He does the recap from reading this book that apparently has the history of Zi-O in it. So
the Witching Time Advent Almanac is what it's subbed as.
There we go.
So, yeah.
So it's interesting the way they're doing that recap. I like that. The show kicks back off literally exactly where we left off. Gates is charging at Zi-O with the ghost armor on, and a battle is about to ensue. So Gates pretty much is kicking his ass.
Yeah, I think that's accurate.
Yeah, I mean, he is just beating him down. There's no chance. Then we get to see a rider kick using the ghost armor.
Yeah, so the secondary rider does the first rider kick of the series, which is really cool.
Very interesting. Very interesting. And what I like that we see again in this episode later is seeing the different rider kicks with the different armors.
Right.
So the ghost armor, you know, what happened with that? For some reason, I can't. That's how great the show Ghost is.
I don't remember.
He does a rider kick. It's
yeah. Each jacket has a different power,
right?
So they're all so very different.
They all kind of fuse into one, and he kicks.
I'm this one I think is just kind of more special to Gates himself.
Yeah,
I don't really think it draws from it too much.
So
it seems more like it's the ore form, because it, like the kanji that, or yeah, I guess the kanji or the hiragana that pops up when he's doing it is orange. So I'm assuming that that it's going to be the ore form. So it's his base standard form before he really uses any of the jacket powers, like
right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, we won't delve into jacket powers yet. But so the kick is blocked.
Yep.
By the girl. What's her name?
Tsukuyomi.
Tsukuyomi is piloting the time Mahjong, and she blocks the kick, and she tells Zi-O to get out of here.
GTFO, son.
So when that happens, we get to see the first appearance of the bike.
Yes. It's a bike watch.
It is. It's a bike watch, and he throws it on the ground, and it becomes a motorcycle.
Which it wouldn't be a rider series if it didn't have a bike.
It wouldn't be. Absolutely. Well, that's not true. Drive is a thing.
Well, if you didn't have some kind of motorized vehicle.
Sure. The one thing that I always hate about motorcycles like this, though, is that they don't physically exist. They pop out of this thing. I know most of them pop out of a thing.
You know, it's like a collapsible bike. Those are things.
I mean, but I don't know.
They're much more convenient.
You just press a button and it's a motorcycle. I'm not impressed with the motorcycles.
I think you're just sad that we don't have that technology already.
No, I'm just not impressed with the motorcycles. So then Gates gives chase. He pulls out his own motorcycle and goes. They're driving down the road. It's a chase scene. It's very short-lived.
I love the way he evaded at the end, though. It was super great.
It was really cool.
I was you outsmarted him. Very, very, very wise.
Right. So Zi-O jumps off of his bike over a railing, and it turns back into the watch.
And then he scoots up.
And then he scoots up against the wall, Metal Gear style.
He
and it's
can't
just
see
like,
me.
oh, what was that noise? And, he's gone. Gates, of course, for some reason, doesn't see him, which is fine. But then
he's going so fast.
But then the girl asks him, or he asks the girl, why did you stop me?
Just call her Su-chan for short.
I'll just call her the girl for now, because I don't... You have to earn your name with me. I told this last time.
That's disrespectful.
I told this last time. You have to earn your name. Earn your name.
I know who you are, Tsukuyomi. It's okay.
Tsukuyomi is asked by Gates, why the heck did you stop me? She doesn't really know herself.
She doesn't know.
She doesn't understand. So anyway, that's something that happens. So then our time boy...
He's a time jacker.
No, he's a time boy.
He's a sweet time boy himself.
He's a sweet little time boy.
I don't know. Then again, I mean, he did create somebody to be like another build.
He did.
It was a very spooky build.
So he shows back up. We'll actually give him his name and everything. Yes, they're called time jackers, as I think we learn later in this episode.
Just a little bit. Too far off.
And we learn his name later in this episode too, which we'll go ahead and say it.
Uru or wool is what the English translation seems to come up as. But it's the German word for clock. So since my German is terrible, it's UHR is how they spell it. Uder or something like that. I'm terrible with German.
Uder. Okay. So he shows back up. He's the same guy in the first episode that created another build or evil build, whatever you want to say. And he just taps his head and creates him again.
Yeah, he essentially reanimates.
Right. He creates him again. While Zi-O is running away, he runs back into Woes.
Yep.
And this is where Woes tells him about the time jackers. Now, here's a very interesting plot point that I'm really excited to see them expand on. And the mystery of this, I think, is really going to carry the series and be a lot of fun to figure out. Woes explains, and for those who don't know who Woes is, if you didn't watch or listen to the first episode or watch Zi-O or whatever, he's this guy with a book who kind of foretells the future of Zi-O. And if you want more information, it's out there.
Again, we mentioned him earlier. He's the one who does the recap at the beginning of the show.
Yes. So Woes tells Zi-O that he is trying to preserve the timeline. He wants to keep it as is, where Zi-O becomes this evil demon king.
And he's the only one who wants to do so.
He is. He is indeed. And nobody tells us why. So that's interesting.
Right.
And then what does he tell us about the time jackers?
That they are trying to bring forth a new king. So apparently everybody hates Zi-O except for Woes. He thinks he's the bomb, which that's probably why he always, every time he encounters Sogo or Zi-O, he's always so respectful.
He is.
Like, it's a pleasure to see you again, my demon king. And it's like,
he's definitely the advisor to the king. Yeah, he's definitely the guy that walks up and is like, "Oh, it's a beautiful morning to see you today, sire."
Yes, exactly.
He's easily
got a little something on his nose there.
He's still my favorite character.
I love him so much.
So anyway, that's what we learned from Woes, just in a nutshell.
Interesting point, though. At the end of this little talk, when it's time for him to go, there's a gong that goes off at the shrine that they're standing in front of, and he just poof disappears.
He gone.
Yeah, which is interesting. I actually did a little poking around to see what that was all about, and apparently, whenever they ring the gong, it's supposed to awaken awareness to the unconsciousness or the possibility of illusions.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, like the day at the Buddhist shrine begins with it and then also ends with the ringing of the gong or the banging of the gong. So it's kind of interesting to see how that's going to factor into exactly how he plays into the whole scenario.
The beginning and end, right?
Yeah.
So that's interesting. Yeah.
So,
okay, cool.
Especially if he's going to, depart when that goes off too. I don't know. He's a little creepy. But like a cool creepy,
Right. So another build has returned. He has shown back up. And he does this thing where we see his eyes. And I mean, it lasts for 3 seconds.
Nightmare fuel.
And I'm just going to go ahead and say now, I'm going to put a picture up. I'm going to put a picture up so people can see this.
Yeah, this is terrifying.
It's so weird. It's creepy,
It's legitimately like nightmare fuel if it ever had like an image to go with it would be this image.
Oh, jeez,
because
it's terrible.
Like, he's scary enough as it is, or spooky enough looking as it is, but when those eyes open, I'm like, oh, no, thank you. No, sir.
You can go back to being whatever you're doing.
But I'm so fascinated by the fact that he has this obsession with sports. I don't know what it is. Karate
You're fascinated by
and
that.
Basketball. And then this time he's like, hey, you know what? We're going to take these baseball players and we're going to take their power. I'm just going to start chugging fastballs at people.
Yeah, I think it's just always something to throw.
And they're going to send him to Koshien next, and he's going to go out for majors.
I'm so curious what they're going to do with the next another rider in episode 3. But so Gates at first is just going to walk away. Gates and the girl are Tsukuyomi. I'm going to get it eventually. Gates and Tsukuyomi are watching this, and Tsukuyomi's like, we need to do something. And Gates is like, no, we don't. We don't have to do anything about that.
This is not what my job is.
It's like, I'm trying to kill that Zi-O guy. And then he remembers, like, destruction, I think.
Yeah.
And that makes him go, okay, well, screw it. I'll fight this thing. So he goes up, he henshins. We get another Grand Gates henshin.
Yes.
Which, fun fact, and I learned this from the internet, so if it's wrong, I blame you. This henshin is a throwback to the Kamen Rider, and I don't know why I brought this up because I don't know the name of the Kamen Rider, but the one with the dragon. The one that actually summons a damn dragon. It's a throwback to his henshin, just a little different. So again, I'm gonna show you guys what I'm talking about. Okay, so anyway, then we go back to Zi-O. And Zi-O is running into his uncle's shop. And there's woes again.
He's just everywhere. That guy gets around.
And so he explains that another build is now replacing Build.
Actual Build.
And it's
because
Build.
the time jackers are doing their thing.
Exactly.
They're jacking up time.
Exactly. They're jacking off in the time stream.
No,
and so,
oh God.
And so, that's really all he explains.
Yep, pretty much so. And then he's like, Gates is fighting him right now. He's like, wait a minute. He was supposed to be dead. Yeah, his mind was blown. Yeah. So then off he goes.
Off he goes to protect Gates from a baseball.
Yep. I'm telling you, man, have you ever been hit by one of those? Those suckers hurt.
It hurts, right? But the thing is like, so Zi-O shows up and cuts a baseball in half, and yes, it's as stupid as it sounds. I'm sorry, that was so dumb.
Then he turns to Tsukuyomi and Gates, and he's like, are you okay?
Are you guys all right?
And they're just like, what the heck is going on? This is the guy that's supposed to, like, obliterate everybody else in our timeline, so...
So that's really weird. And then Zi-O does his rider kick.
Yes, the time break kick.
Oh my gosh, this is the first time we see his kick.
Yeah. Last time he did this slash thing with the sword.
Right, it was the slash.
Yeah, and he cut the basketball in half.
Yeah.
And...
So I'm going to explain the kick, and I'm going to let you tell me first what you think. So when he first activates the belt and everything, and then the things go into motion for the kick to happen, these kanji or hiragana or whatever symbols appear in pink, like his mask, around the monster, and then they collectively come together, and then he like kicks them into him.
Isn't it on his foot or something?
It
like
is.
That? Yeah,
it is. It's on the bottom of his foot, and he kicks them into him. So, what are your thoughts on that rider kick?
I mean, it's okay.
It's boring.
Well, again, it's his base form, so it's going to be more exciting as it goes along.
But think about Drive's base form rider kick.
You can't bring up one of my favorite series and then be like, compare it to this. It's like saying, hey, you know how you like strawberries? Strawberries are awesome. Then here is math homework. You can't do that. It's two completely different things.
But here's the thing.
Really
my
hate
point
math,
is the argument of it's his base form, I think, can't stand. And I only say that because Drive's base form kick was some of the coolest fucking kicks in the world.
I mean, I would have to agree with that. But at the same time, it's like, it's just different. Maybe as it goes along, we'll like it more. But I don't know. It was underwhelming. I will give you that.
Wow, it was boring. So, let's see, where are we? Okay, so he rider kicks the thing, and it comes back.
Yeah, comes walking up the stairs like, oh, hey, I'm supposed to be here for a fight.
I know, he does walk up pretty casually.
Like,
hey, guys, what are you doing here?
Did Leonardo DiCaprio just have a cameo here all of a sudden? Just come strolling in.
Right. Okay, so then we cut to Zi-O's like, oh, shit, well, we can't beat him. But what if Build can?
Yeah. Oh, hey, let me go to where the cafe is because it was only a year ago that I met those guys at the cafe.
Exactly.
So he goes running to the cafe, and it's not what we saw in 2017.
Of course not.
No, it's now as the Tsunagi's fan club, which that was Sento's band.
Right.
Which, man, they were crazy.
They were crazy looking, for sure.
Definitely.
So there's a comedy bit with Sento and Banjo.
Which was so cute. I love those guys.
If I didn't love them so much, that comedy bit would have gotten on my nerves.
Yeah, but they're wonderful.
But I love them, and if you've not watched Build, you will after you watch Build. You'll love them too. So then we get to see Gates. We cut back to the fight, and we get to see Gates do his rider kick. Mm-hmm. Now, it's only a touch more interesting in the sense of, like, when he kicks downward, instead of kicking just his name... He kicks, like, his name, and he also headbutts his name on the way in. That sounds stupid. But it's like it goes into his face while it goes into his foot.
Seems like there's a lot of self-loathing in that kick.
Yeah, there is. He hates himself.
But what was really interesting about the kick, which it wasn't the kick itself, but it's more how it did this kind of weird rewind thing where you have one form of... another build that was destroyed, and then you had the new one. It was almost like Dark Souls in a way.
Yeah. Where you kind of got to see its past life, I guess, and kind of realize it was going to be reborn, so it stepped into the role. Yeah. Almost replacing that. I don't know, weird.
It was really, really weird.
So Gates kicks the thing, and it comes back from around behind a tree this time.
Well, it's really interesting to note because it's like directly after that happened, Banjo and Sento are holding the blank watches, and they get their powers.
They get their powers and their memory back.
Yeah, at the same time that this guy is destroyed.
Because there's a funny bit because they've got like their arm around each other or something.
And they have those like crazy headbands, and they're like, oh, what's going on? This is gross. They start, getting rid of all the memorabilia.
And then Sento remarks, say hi to past me, and hands him the watch.
Yep.
And I thought that was a cool moment. So Zi-O returns to Gates and is like, look, here's my plan. We're going to go back a year. We're going to figure this out. Yeah. And he hands him the Cross Z watch.
Yeah, but I want to go back to one thing real quick where you were talking about how another build came around the tree. I thought that was absolutely hilarious because it's kind of like poking his head out like, oh, it's my turn.
Oh, here I am.
It's like, I don't know, there's a spawner behind that tree. You got to be careful.
They really did introduce him back in the weirdest ways possible.
But I loved it, though, because it's like, it has that brand of comedy that is just like, it's situational comedy.
He didn't do it exactly this way, but it reminded me of a sitcom, kind of poke your head in the door frame.
Hey,
and then
neighbor.
kind of go, hey guys, and walk in.
Yeah, that's exactly what it felt like.
I'm still here.
Or like he was like, or when they're watching a scene go on that they're not supposed to see or whatever, and they're just kind of like hiding behind the tree, like, oh, there's my cue.
Exactly.
It's so funny. I love the way they do that.
It's interesting. I wonder if they're going to keep up that goofy thing.
God, I hope they do. I mean, part of me does, but at the same time, you kind of want it to get to the point where it's not so silly.
Yeah.
But considering, where this series goes, looking at it's like, wow, death and destruction and Mad Max over here. Just like, I kind of like the comedy bits just for a little bit.
Well, for anybody who is going to listen to this show or knows me, knows that I dislike the comedy bits. I'd much rather prefer it to be serious. But right now, I'm getting along. Now, if they continue to do this, they are going to start to make me mad.
Right.
But right now, it's okay, mainly because I love Build. If they keep throwing the writers that I love, if they keep throwing those at me and they want to do fun bits with them, I want as much of the old writers as I can get.
Oh, yeah. I can't wait till they get to W and
Kiva.
Shotaro and
oh, my gosh.
Akiko with the slipper and she
so excited. So anyway, Zi-O hands Gates the Cross Z watch and keeps the Build one for himself, and they travel to the year 2017.
And can I just ask, when did Sogo have the time to learn how to pilot that mech? Because this is like the same day. He almost got his ass handed to him. And it's like, oh, I suddenly have knowledge of how to pilot this mech from, 50 years in the future.
Yeah, okay. Well,
I wonder if that comes into play later, though.
It definitely won't. I don't think it will. I think they just have to have a fast way for him to be like, oh, I can drive this thing. Let's go.
Maybe he's really smart and he just paid a lot of attention to Tsukiyomi.
So they travel to 2017 and another build is walking down the street and he sees, or Sento and Banjo show up and they're like, that doesn't look like a smash.
Wait, you forgot the most important part. He got 2 new powers. Dude got 2 new bottles.
Oh, Jesus. I did forget this.
Even as a best match this time.
I've got it in my notes here. Yeah.
Swimming and archery. Wow.
Jeez, man.
Yeah.
What the heck? And so, yeah, okay, so Build gets these new powers and he goes, best match. The way he talks is
it's so weird.
It's so strange. And so we further the weird, like, almost stupidity version of this another Build. He's kind of dumb.
He is really dumb.
Because
he thinks he's the actual Build, too.
He does.
So when he sees Ryuga, he's like, oh, Build, I'm Build. And he's like, Cross Z, best match. Yeah. And it's like, really?
And
come
he
on.
Hugs him.
And it's like, ooh, this is gross.
And he's like, oh, get off me. So you called him by Ryuga. But yeah, Banjo.
I wonder if he showed him his eyes, and that's why he was like, ooh,
oh,
gross.
No. I think it'd be gross to be hugged by that anyway.
Yeah, he was scary looking.
Eyes are not. So he's like, oh, get off me. And so they henshin. They henshin, and we get to see a brief shining moment of those two henshin, again. And that's pretty cool. But the weird part is it's fading. It's glitching in and out.
Yeah, it's really glitchy.
And so of course Sento, being as smart as he is like, oh, well, crap, something's not working. We need to defeat this guy while we have our powers. So Zi-O and Gage show up, and
another Build gets broadsided by that machine when they come through the portal. Yeah. He just bam.
So before the fight actually gets started, time is stopped yet again by the time jacker Wool. And Wool explains that of course he wants a new king, and I really think that's all he says.
Well, he explains kind of like how another Build came to be about, he's like, I did this was something that I did, right. And Sogo or Zi-O is like, aren't you a time jacker? He's like, wow, you're really well informed. Yeah, well, we want a new king. Like, basically, we don't like what you become. So he's like, show me what future you'll choose. Like, let me see if you're still going to become Oma Zi-O or where you're going to go from here.
Right. And so then we get, oh my gosh, do they have to keep harping on this? Do they have to keep doing this? Are we going to do this every time? Zi-O gives the big speech of like, well, look, man, humans can't be turned back like a clock can, and we're all people too, and
well, probably for the first 30 episodes, yeah.
Oh my God. I'm sick of this. I don't want to get beat over the head with that. So he does this, just so I'm not being stupid, he does this big speech, kind of like they did in the first episode, or his uncle did in the first episode. And then Wool is like, okay, cool, well, show me what you're going to do, and leaves.
Yeah.
And time is restored. So thanks to swimming and archery, Zi-O gets roped into the concrete water that another Build is splashing around in like a dolphin.
Yep.
Yeah, I just said those words.
Yep.
That's what happened.
That happens so often with the dolphin powers. I think that just happened, like a week or so ago in Lupin versus Patranger?
It did.
Yeah.
It totally did.
Maybe it's like Shark Week in Japan. Are they on a different schedule? Week. I mean, I'm just saying.
So, Gates uses the ghost ability to hover above the water concrete and to pull Zi-O free. Mm-hmm. So, what I love about this is then Zi-O pulls out the watch for Build and is about to go. He's going to fucking henshin. He hits the button and then he gets scared by Woes. Because Woe startles him.
Oh, God, I loved it. Yeah. He's like, oh, what?
He's like, whoa, because Woe shows back up with his book and goes on one of his rants about how, oh, we're about to witness another thing in time. You know, you're about to get the build armor. This is perfect for our king, and blah, 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 blah. And while this is happening, Sento runs over to Zi-O.
Well, it's important to note at this point that for some reason, Sento and Banjo, their powers have glitched out completely.
Yeah, they're gone.
Yeah, they're like, our powers are disappearing.
So Sento charges over to him, and this is so cute. I hope it happens with every one of them.
Same.
But Sento whispers to him what his pose is, so he'll do it.
Yeah,
right.
and also so he'll say his catchphrase, "The law of victory is set."
The law of victory is set. And so then we finally get to see the armor come out. And the armor does like a little CG stance of its own.
I loved it so much. It was so great. Such a callback.
The law of victory is set. The armor actually does the pose, which is cute. And so then the armor hits onto Zi-O and they do the pose together. Mm-hmm. But then Zi-O does this weird little hand thing at the end of it.
And Sento's like smacking him like, don't do that.
Don't do that. I
don't do that. That's not like part of it.
I loved that because it's like, I don't do that. I didn't say do that. So that was cool.
That was really, yeah.
So then we don't get much before he does the rider kick.
He's so ready to like use this power, and so he's like, all I have to do is shake the sword, right? Or I have to just spin it or whatever.
Yeah, he's like, all I got to do is crank the crank. I think he's trying to do the motion of the crank.
Yeah, but he was like shaking the sword though. It was so weird.
And so,
oh Lord,
in very Build fashion, the physics problems that normally appear around him in white letters are different phrases.
My favorite was learned as a freshman.
Right. So it's like it's pulling up all this different stuff about
don't know,
Zi-O.
Can't remember this.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
I thought that was a cute little add-on.
Yeah.
Again, the more we do these little add-ons for these armors, the more it's going to be interesting.
Yeah. Just kind of see how Sogo's own personality kind of comes out.
Exactly.
Because it mentioned in the first episode that he's not very good with like chemistry and math and stuff.
Exactly.
He's a history guy. So I'm just like, I can relate, dude. I was like, I don't know formulas either. So it's a cute callback.
It is.
That. And I love how Sento was like, this sucks.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm so disappointed.
Sento pulls out the best phrase of any Kamen Rider, in my opinion, of this sucks. He says that so much in the Build series. So then he does the rider kick that is pretty much Build's rider kick.
Yeah, it's the Voltec time break. And that's the thing it looks like they're doing is the time break version is the Zi-O part, but whatever the first part of the phrase is, like Voltec, we had the Omega for the Ghost. So I like how they're doing that because it kind of ties the two series together.
Right. And so then Gates puts the Cross Z-Watch into his bow axe and shoots into the thing. And it's
I don't
cool.
even know what that is.
Whatever, that's
weird.
fine. We'll get more on that, I'm sure. So then it's over. Another build is actually destroyed and his watch explodes. The watch that Wool put inside him in the first episode is now destroyed, which in Kamen Rider is a very common thing to be like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it's
the
done.
thing that shows that it's over.
Right.
So then
the dude's okay in his timeline.
Yeah, the dude is fine in his timeline, so they save him, which is fine because we got to have a saving element. We're still Hiro. And so then Sento and Banjo seemingly lose their memory again about what's just happened. And so when Zi-O runs up to him and is just like, woo, hey, Sento, good job or whatever.
Thanks for letting me borrow your power. Here, your watch is back.
It was.
Yeah.
He says he's Takumi.
Yeah, Katsuragi
Takumi. And he's like, who? And then he's like, he sees these black watches in front of him. And he's like, these are really interesting, and grabs them.
Yeah, and goes running off with them.
And Banjo, of course, is like, come back, and runs after him. And so Zi-O explains, Gates is like, what's going on? What are you doing? And Zi-O explains that I don't know really, but I know that in the future they had these watches, and that will lead them down the path of becoming Build and Cross Z.
Yeah.
So in the way that I'm translating it as, this is restoring their timeline.
Right.
So now another Build's gone, and now Build can be Build.
But I think it's interesting, though, because Gates said that they're not supposed to have these. So that makes me wonder if that's another time jacker doing something, or how that all is going to tie into a plot point later on.
Right.
So right. I love how they always set up things and you forget about them. But then, down the line, you're like, oh, yeah, remember when they did that thing? I wonder if this is one of those, first little threads into something else.
Right.
So, it's going to be interesting to see.
So, they returned to 2018, and Tsukuyomi, and Gates are talking, and they're like, is this really Zi-O? Can you believe that he freaking protected us?
Yeah,
he stopped that attack.
She's kind of skeptical right now. She's like, he seems different than the Oma Zi-O that we know. So, she's kind of wondering how all this came to be. And he says history still flows to Oma Zi-O. So, he's like, I don't care what he is right now. I know what he becomes, and I still want to stop him.
And he's still going to die. Toast. So then, in a very comedic fashion, the episode ends with the uncle renting out a room that's in his shop to Tsukuyomi and Gates. And they do a little, let's get along. And then Gates is like, give me a reason, Mo Fracker. I'll end you.
I'm itching to take you out.
He gives him the tough guy.
And then they have this cute little moment at the end, which I love the cutesy stuff. I can't help it. But where they're having a meal, they're sitting down to a meal, and it's mapped out like a clock.
Yeah, it's like sushi mapped out.
Yeah,
like a clock,
it's so crazy.
How weird.
Yeah. But,
and then the episode ends, and real quick before we talk about what next week is supposed to look like, or next episode, what did you think of this episode?
Yeah, it was really fun. I don't know that I necessarily liked it better than the first one. I think I liked it about the same level. Though it was really cute to see Banjo and Sento again, because I loved Build so much. So I was really excited. I knew that we were going to get them a lot more this week. Kind of sad that this seems to be the end of the Build arc.
Yeah. I mean,
but X8 was another one of my favorites. So right. I'm excited to see all of those great characters again.
Right. So I liked this episode better than the first episode, and I'll explain why. I know we got some big exposition dumps, and they really told us what was going on. But I liked this episode better because A, we got more Build stuff, and B, we got more plot. If we go ahead and set up our plot and get those gears turning in at least our heads, then hopefully that means they're on a good direction.
Get it? Gears, clock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So you did that.
I did that.
So anyway, we see the preview for next week, and it looks like we will be going to another series that just... Was it before Build?
Yeah.
Yeah, so before Build...
It's like they're going in order.
It's like they're going in order. I think they're going to break that eventually.
Well, Ghost would be before X8.
But in the sense of actually bringing back those riders.
Oh, yeah.
I think we're eventually going to break the pattern.
Oh, more than likely.
But hopefully we break the chain sooner than later.
Yes.
So
agreed.
It looks like X8 is the next one we're going to jump to. Yes. And we get a very brief look at another X8. And I love these in other forms.
He looks crazy.
He does look crazy.
He looks so insane. But because it looks like the color palette is like... It's almost like a cross between, his initial form, the Mighty Action X, and then the black version of that.
Yeah. Also
crossed with Hyper Muteki, which is really crazy. Yeah, because he's got the dreads. So I'm just like, I want to know how they put that together, and right. I'm really anxious to see how it's going to work out. So, oh my god, I hope we get some Kuroda time in because I love him so much.
So, that about wraps this up, this episode. Again, thanks for all the views. Thanks for the likes, the dislikes, everything. If you have a question for us, or anything of that nature, if you want to just discuss things in the comments, that's cool too. Subscribe for more of these. It seems like we're going to be putting these out pretty regularly.
With any luck.
And yeah, anything else to say, Daisy, before we close out?
Just thanks a lot, guys, for checking in with us and giving us a listen. We greatly appreciate it, and hope you enjoyed as much as we enjoy talking about Kamen Riders.
Yes, and let us know if you do. Thanks. We'll see you guys next time.